So, you're looking to put together an Inalla Archmage Ritualist commander deck, but you're not quite sure where to start. I'm here to help. My name is Capital G, and welcome to the first 10. Inalla Archmage Ritualist. Black, red, blue, and 2 for this 4/5 human wizard with Eminence. Eminence meaning that she never has to enter the battlefield to do the thing we want her to do. Whenever another non-token wizard enters the battlefield under your control, if she's in the command zone or on the battlefield, we can pay 1 to create a token that's a copy of that wizard. The token gains haste and it gets exiled at the beginning of the next end step. While she's on the battlefield, we can also tap 5 untapped wizards to have target player lose 7 life. Doesn't seem like super overpowered at first, especially since wizards are, not so great at combat. But they are great at ETBs and various other really awesome triggered abilities. There's some cool activated abilities as well. But we are going to be focusing on some triggers. New Capenna is coming out soon. They just started rolling out some of the cards. So we will see what new toys Inalla will have very, very soon. A lot has changed since her original release in, I think it was 2017 it's marked here on the card. So, obviously, she's gotten a lot of new cards since then, a lot of new cards upcoming. Let's see what some of the toys that we have currently are available to us, and we'll go from there afterwards. So, let's start with the win con of the deck, in fact. Dualcaster Mage. Doesn't seem like a game-winning card, but stick with me. Red, red, and 1 for this human wizard. 2/2, it's got flash, and when it enters the battlefield, we get to copy an instant or sorcery spell. We can choose new targets for the copy. So a couple things we can do with this, of course. Over the course of the game, if we need to copy a random spell, yes we can. If we have the extra mana for the Eminence, we can copy that spell twice. But the spell that we really want to copy is Ghostly Flicker, because this is a well-known infinite combo. If you're not familiar with how this works, the idea is you're going to cast your Ghostly Flicker. It exiles 2 artifacts, creatures, or lands you control, and any combination thereof. Then you return those cards to the battlefield under your control. So you're going to cast your Ghostly Flicker, target a couple things. Hold priority, cast your Dualcaster Mage. Once that hits the battlefield, the ETB goes off and you can copy the Ghostly Flicker. The copy of Ghostly Flicker can target new things. So let's say it targets a basic land and the Dualcaster Mage. Sweet. Those leave the battlefield, come right back onto the battlefield right away, and Dualcaster Mage triggers again and can copy the original Ghostly Flicker again. Now imagine, each time you're doing this, because you now have an untapped basic land, you're using that mana to create a token of Dualcaster Mage using Inalla's Eminence ability. Now you have an infinitely large army of Dualcaster Mages. And you can either win the game through combat that turn, or you can save up some mana and use it to cast Inalla and tap your army and just drain everyone out 7 life at a time that way. Either way, this is how most Inalla decks end the game. There's other ways, of course, of copying the spell. There's ways of getting the spell into your hand, so you can really focus in on this combo. Other cards we want to look at to help us get there. I want to start with a land, by the way, because there are a couple of lands that you can name a creature type, and the land will tap for any mana for any color of mana to cast that creature type spell. Most recently, we got Secluded Courtyard that does this. It's a $5 card. A few years ago, we got Unclaimed Territory, still an excellent card. Goes for about $1. Base Camp. Yes, this enters the battlefield tapped, but it taps to add 1 mana of any color that you can spend to cast wizard spells, or activate the ability of a wizard you control. That's pretty sweet, isn't it? It's a dime. You can get this for $0.10. And I decided to, for the fun of it, just have a look on EDHREC to see how many Inalla decks were running base camp. So there's still like thousands of decks up on EDHREC. She's, as of recording, number 101 on the list. So lots of them are running Secluded Courtyard. Didn't take long. Lots of them are running Unclaimed Territory. How many of them are running base camp? 44. Joey, this is my challenge to stats. 44 Inalla decks are running base camp. That's nonsense. This is a great addition, a great complement. You don't replace Unclaimed Territory and Secluded Courtyard with base camp, but you run it in conjunction with. Run all three because it's just a perfect fit. Moving on to another mana fixing tool, by the way, Spring Leaf Drum. I think this is fantastic. A nice cool artifact here. 1 mana to cast it. Doesn't do a whole lot straight away, but when you cast your wizard spell, it hits the battlefield, then Inalla triggers and asks you if you want to pay the 1. You can tap the wizard you just cast and the Spring Leaf Drum in order to pay that 1 mana. Spring Leaf Drum doesn't care if the creature is sick or not. The cost is tap it and another creature. It doesn't care if the creature itself is sick or not. So you can get your mana from your newly cast wizard and get the token right away. And since we're running a lot of really cool ETB effects, well, we want to be able to use those ETB effects as many times as possible, and Spring Leaf Drum helps us with that. Examples of cool ETB effects. Basaltravager. Red and 3 for this 4/2 giant wizard. And when this enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that have a creature type in common. Really? We're running all wizards? The fact that we pay 4 to get 1, and then we pay an additional mana to get a second one, well, right off the hop, we're going to have a bunch of wizards be able to shoot down at least 2 things. Or we can dome somebody with this because it's any target. And I don't know about you, but I like the idea of doubling up on that trigger, Harmonic Prodigy. If an ability of a shaman or another wizard you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. See the theme? Abusing ETB triggers. And this can even copy Inalla's Eminence ability itself if Inalla is on the battlefield, just saying. Something else I can do that, Naban. If a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So, for example, yes, Basaltravager's ability would trigger again on itself. So, pretty sweet stuff there. Another cool trigger we want to be able to copy is Trinket Mage's trigger. Blue and 2. It's your 2/2 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, go get an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. So it gets our Spring Leaf Drum if we don't already have it. Gets our Soul Ring if we don't already have it. Here's a cool trick. Bonus. If you are running the artifact lands, this can go get artifact lands because it says mana value 1 or less. So you can go get your artifact lands with this too, and just pull cards out of your deck that way. Pretty sweet stuff. Some card advantage. This is a cool one that's pretty new to the scene. At least it came out years after Inalla did, and that is Watch Here for Tomorrow. For 2 mana, we get a 2/1 human wizard. It's got Hide Away. So the creature enters the battlefield tapped. We get to look at the top 4 cards of our library, exile 1 face down, put the rest on the bottom of our library. And then whenever Watch It for Tomorrow leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into its owner's hand. It doesn't matter how it leaves the battlefield. Somebody exiles it, we get the card. It's a human wizard, by the way, so that yes, we can pay the Eminence, get a token of Watch It for Tomorrow. The token exiles itself at the end of the turn, and we get the card. Pretty sweet. But what is also sweet is finding ways to, sacrifice those tokens, because when they exile themselves, with limited exceptions, they don't usually do anything for us. Obviously, they do a lot for us when they hit the battlefield, But if we can get something for sacrificing those tokens, even better. Gukol or Gisa is a good example of this, and one that put a lot of work in for me in my last game with this deck. Black tap, sack another creature, in this case a token. We want to sacrifice our tokens to create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. Yes please, all of a sudden we have an army of zombies. That's obviously not the only way we can generate value. There's other outlets that can let us scry. It can generate mana for us, maybe get us some cards. So be sure to look for your favorites sacrifice effects when building your Inalla Archmage Ritualist deck. I've been Capital G, and that was the first 10 cards for Inalla Archmage Ritualist. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Come join me and all the awesome peoples down in the Discord. Dungeons and Cardboard. We play lots of Magic, Flesh and Blood, etc. Free to join, free to play, our LGS away from our LGS. Hope to see you all there, and hope to see you all in the next video. Bye for now.